Ontario's middle class is quietly collapsing in 2026, and almost nobody is admitting it. The things normal families could easily afford 8 or 10 years ago now feel like luxury items. Every paycheck feels tighter, every bill feels heavier, and every year the dream lifestyle slips further away, even for people who are doing everything right. Today, we're breaking down the 10 things Ontario's middle class can no longer comfortably afford in 2026. So, before we continue, like this video right now and subscribe, because the number one item on this list, I promise, it's the one you think you're safe from. Number 10. Owning a detached home. Everyone knows housing is expensive in Ontario, but detached homes have become a full-blown status symbol. Something previous generations took for granted now feels like elite wealth. Ontario median household income around $103,000 estimate. Median detached home price $1.15 million estimate. Affordability ratio about 11x income. Brutal. Ontario isn't mild. Winters punish your budget through insane heating costs. The bigger the house, the bigger the monthly gas bill. And climate insurance premiums are rising because severe storms, floods, and wind events are becoming regular, even in GTA suburbs that once felt perfectly safe. Salaries are not matching shelter inflation. Wage growth is stuck around 2 to 3% for most fields. Meanwhile, the mortgage stress test crushes buyers, especially those in contract, gig, or non-unionized jobs. One small interruption, a layoff, a reduced shift, or switching employers can instantly disqualify you from financing. Property taxes keep going up. Mortgage interest rates recently doubled the monthly payment most new buyers expected. A simple commute from a suburban detached neighborhood to downtown Toronto can burn $400+ a month in gas. And we haven't even included home maintenance, roofs, HVAC, windows, which can cost 5 figures per decade. Detached houses offer space, privacy, a backyard for kids, room for pets, and the classic suburban dream. They represent stability. They represent "we made it," and that's why everyone chases this. But in 2026, detached home ownership in Ontario is no longer middle class, it's upper class.
Number 9. Replacing an aging car. Ontario is a car province. Even in Toronto, most households still rely on one, but replacing your old car with a decent modern vehicle, even a used one, has turned into a shocking financial mountain. Average used vehicle price Ontario, $34,000 estimate. Average new car price, $52,000 estimate. Median household income, $103,000, meaning one car replacement is now 33 to 50% of annual gross. Ontario winters destroy cars. Salt eats the underbody. Freeze-thaw cycles crack everything. Batteries fail faster. You can baby a vehicle all you want, but the climate pounds metal and electronics until replacement isn't optional, it's required. Job security is a memory. People with great resumes are still bouncing between contracts, term roles, and unstable industries. Banks notice that. Car loan approvals are getting stricter, especially for people with volatile income patterns. And if your credit took a hit, forget it. Interest rates can be predatory. EVs sound like an escape, but chargers are not universal, and the upfront cost is insane. Insurance in Ontario is among the highest in North America. Fuel is unpredictable. Repairs are brutal. One electronic sensor in a modern vehicle can be a $1,200+ surprise. Transportation is no longer a cost, it's a liability. A reliable car lets you work almost anywhere, visit family, leave the city, and actually live. Mobility is freedom. But in 2026 Ontario, replacing a car feels less like normal maintenance and more like a luxury purchase reserved for people with excess cash. Number 8. Family vacations outside Canada. Growing up, Ontario families would save a bit, take a week in Florida, Cuba, or Mexico, and it felt normal. Now in 2026, international vacations have become the most brutally obvious "we can't afford that anymore" conversation happening quietly around kitchen tables. Average 7-day all-inclusive per person from Toronto, $1,650 estimate. Family of 4, $6,600 before souvenirs, excursions, or airport fees. Ontario winters used to push families toward warm trips. Sunshine was part of coping with the cold, but now People literally just stay inside. Vacations, the one predictable escape, have been deleted from the middle-class calendar. And ironically, climate chaos globally makes travel insurance, especially to hurricane belt, even more expensive. Vacations need stability, but when people can barely predict their income 3 months out, who is going to pre-book a 7K trip? Fear of layoffs is the new normal. Instability destroys the confidence required to swipe your card for a holiday. And airport fees are some of the highest in the continent. Currency exchange hits 35 to 40% more for Canadians compared to Americans going abroad. One room, one suitcase, one Uber to the airport, it all stacks. And the interest on credit cards used to float holiday balances, that is a financial death sentence now. Sun, resort pools, the beach, zero responsibilities, this used to be the annual refresh the middle class relied on to mentally reset. Today, Ontario families treat these vacations like a fantasy, not a real thing they can plan.
Number 7. Dental care plus orthodontics. Dental is the silent middle-class killer expense in Ontario, because unlike medical care, dental is barely covered, even if you have a job. Average full braces treatment, $7,500 to $9,000. Estimate. Basic annual cleaning plus checkup without insurance, $220 to $260. Estimate. Sugar spikes rise in winter because people snack more indoors. Dry, heated air increases mouth bacteria risk, and cold sensitivity makes dental issues flare harder. Ironically, climate inside your home accelerates dental problems, especially in long Ontario heating seasons. Employers are cutting benefits quietly. They offer insurance but only 50% coverage or 80% up to a low annual max. Orthodontics is usually considered cosmetic, so most is out of pocket. Middle-class parents want their kids to have straight teeth, but the financing is brutal. Installments for braces look like car payments. Ontario dentists have high overhead, rent in GTA, staffing, equipment, so prices climb. A single root canal can smash an entire month's budget. People delay appointments. They put off problems. Then it gets worse. Emergency extraction is now cheaper than preventative care, which is insane. Good teeth equals confidence, smiling comfortably in photos, not being self-conscious at work or in social life. That's why people stretch to afford this. In 2026 Ontario, dental is the most embarrassing we can't afford this expense families try to hide. Number 6. Taking care of aging parents. Aging parents are becoming one of the biggest middle-class financial emergencies. Average private long-term care home in Ontario, $3,800 to $6,500 per month estimate, depending on level of care. Cold seasons increase falls, joint pain, respiratory infections, which means more medical appointments, more prescriptions, more time off work to take parents to specialists. Ontario winter is physically hostile to seniors, and winter makes it even harder to even leave the house safely. The middle class can't quit jobs, but they also can't afford full professional care either. And workplaces don't care. Not really. Flex hours help, but the caregiving gap gets bigger every single year. Public long-term care waitlists are years long. Private care is so expensive that families are burning savings just to keep parents functioning. Mobility devices, walkers, medications, supplements, private PSWs, Uber rides to appointments, nothing is cheap. Keeping parents close is meaningful. It's cultural. It's love. The middle class wants to do right by their parents, but in 2026 Ontario, doing right is becoming financially impossible.
Number 5. Expensive daycares plus after-school programs. Middle-class parents are getting crushed, and childcare was supposed to be the one area the government made more affordable. But here's the reality the news headlines don't say loudly enough. Waitlists are insane, spaces are limited, and anything beyond the bare minimum is still brutally expensive. Average daycare in Ontario, $1,500 to $1,650 a month per child without subsidies. After-school programs, $450 to $650 per month. Winter is especially brutal here. Kids are inside more. More colds, more germs, more sick days, which means more missed work, more juggling schedules, and more emergency babysitters, all of which costs more money. Two incomes used to comfortably support a household. Now, two incomes are often barely enough just to cover daycare and the basics. Employers still assume there's a stay-at-home parent, but that's extinct. So parents are stressed, pressed, and exhausted because the system wasn't built for two full-time working adults and affordable childcare. Daycares are businesses. Supply is limited. Regulations make adding capacity slow. And with rent, insurance, payroll rising, daycares pass it all on to parents. The result? Children become line items that rival car payments or mortgage payments. Good daycare and good after-school programs build confident, social, well-rounded kids. Parents want this. But in 2026 Ontario, childcare is the bill that makes even stable families feel like they're drowning. Number 4. Saving for kids' university. The middle class used to believe education was the guaranteed path upward. In 2026, the middle class knows education is the guaranteed debt. Average undergrad university cost in Ontario, $9,000 per year tuition estimate. Full cost living plus books plus transit is $22,000 to $28,000 per year estimate. Living on campus in winter means expensive transit passes or parking because no one is walking across icy campuses at negative 15 degrees Celsius with wind chill. And winter is exactly when kids need laptops, repairs, replacements, because tech failures spike in cold, dry conditions, more sudden costs. Degrees used to unlock stable careers. Now they unlock internships and contract roles. Parents don't want their kids to suffer. They want to help. But middle-class parents are facing a cruel reality. They can't fund post-secondary and survive inflation. And OSAP has become a debt machine. Universities are premium-priced brands. Residence, meal plans, campus fees, cost structures are built to extract maximum revenue. Off-campus housing is worse because landlords can charge almost anything to desperate students. A degree still matters. It still opens doors. It still changes lives. Families want to invest in their children. But in 2026 Ontario, saving for university doesn't feel like planning for the future. It feels like paying ransom to avoid poverty.
Number 3. Building a safety net emergency fund. The middle class used to be told 3 months of expenses in savings. In 2026, the average middle-class Ontarian can't keep 3 weeks of cash untouched. Average Ontario household monthly expenses, $6,000 to $8,500 estimate, depending on region. Ontario's extreme weather creates surprise expenses all by itself. Burst pipes, frozen windshields, flooded basement repairs, sudden furnace failures. An emergency fund wasn't supposed to be for weather disasters, but in this climate, it basically is. Layoffs don't look like recessions anymore. They look like normal business adjustments. A single job loss, even short-term, can wipe out every dollar saved. And because interest rates are high, people rely on credit as their emergency plan, which means no real emergency fund exists. Rent, food, utilities, car insurance, property tax, almost nothing is stable anymore. A single spike in any of these can destroy savings. In earlier decades, the middle class could save and then spend later. In 2026 Ontario, the middle class spends first just to survive, and then hopes someday they can save. Having a real cash buffer creates peace, stability, and dignity. It lets you sleep without the fear of one problem could ruin us. But in 2026 Ontario, emergency funds are a fantasy, not a real option, because every month is already an emergency. Number 2. Saving for retirement. Retirement used to be the default ending to the working story. You worked 35 to 40 years, then enjoyed the final stage of life with security. In 2026 Ontario, the middle class is waking up to a new fear. Retirement is not guaranteed. Average recommended retirement nest egg, $1.2 to $1.7 million estimate for Ontario. Typical middle class progress, 10 to 18% of that.
Winter energy bills in retirement demolish fixed incomes. Cold seasons demand more heating, more medication, more indoor spending. Seniors burn money just surviving winter months. Climate still steals more than any single bill. It steals years off retirement viability. Wages have not tracked the cost of retirement accumulation. Pensions are weaker. Defined benefit plans are disappearing. Many workers are contract, gig, or self-employed with no employer match. RRSPs feel optional now. People feel guilty contributing because contribution means cutting groceries or missing a bill. Ontario is not cheap to age in. Property taxes explode as home values rise. Condos have special assessments. Rent is unstable. The math is simple and terrifying. If you can barely survive your 40s and 50s, how do you survive your 70s? Retirement should be the victory lap. Travel, time, freedom. But in 2026 Ontario, people say retirement feels more like a financial nightmare than a peaceful rest.
Number 1. Upward mobility, buying a better life than your parents had. This is the most painful truth of all. The real thing Ontario's middle class cannot afford in 2026 is the dream. The idea that working hard will automatically produce a better life for your kids than the one you grew up with. Over 60% of Ontarians now believe their children will be worse off financially than them. Ontario's extreme winters used to be endured with pride because there was a payoff: affordable homes, stable futures, a chance to build something. Now, climate simply adds cost, stress, bills, without any future reward. Whole industries collapse in months. Automation, AI, outsourcing, no one has a safe job path anymore. Education is expensive. Networking is expensive. Everything required to climb is expensive. The middle class isn't poor, but they are blocked from advancement. The ceiling is lower. The floor is thinner. The cost of entry into any higher-tier life stage, housing, entrepreneurship, family, investment, is 5 to 10 times harder than it was for boomers or early millennials. The latter exists in theory, but every rung is coded in price spikes, debt pressures, and instability. Everyone still wants to believe in the Ontario dream because humans need hope. But in 2026, the middle class can no longer afford the most important economic product Ontario once sold: the belief that tomorrow can be better than today. And that's the tragic theme across all 10 of these. The middle class isn't collapsing because people got lazy or irresponsible. It's collapsing because the math no longer works. Prices are rising faster than incomes. Essentials are competing against each other. And the things that used to define a normal life are now luxury decisions only the wealthy can make without panic. Which item shocked you the most on this list? Tell me in the comments below. And before you click away, like this video, subscribe, and share it, because more people in Ontario need to wake up to this reality.